When did I finally take control? I was 32 and still living like a student. My fridge was mostly empty except for half-opened cereal boxes. I wore the same hoodie 3 days in a row, and I called my mom every time the car made a weird creak. My apartment looked like a hurricane had blown through, and I couldn't remember the last time I even balanced my credit card statement. The wake-up call hit me on a Thursday morning. I went to buy breakfast at a cafe, swiping my debit card declined. The cashier gave me a sharp look, while the line behind me groaned. I muttered something about the machine being broken, and walked away with an empty cup. Sitting in my car, I checked my account. -53, third time this month, plus overdraft fees. I was making a decent salary as a freelance web designer. Roughly $4,200 after taxes, but somehow I was always broke, anxious, and one flat tire away from a complete financial meltdown. That night, I sat cross-legged on my floor, eating leftover instant noodles while scrolling through Instagram. Friends were posting about new homes, fancy vacations, and designer dinners. Meanwhile, I was 32, with a closet full of barely worn clothes and nothing to show for my efforts. I opened my laptop and logged into my accounts. Time to face the truth. 3 hours later, I had gone through 6 months of transactions. 180 on gadgets I'd never used. 45s on coffee every week. $40 for an inspirational wall art I shoved behind my bed. $90 on takeout because cooking felt like too much effort. Worst of all, a $35 monthly subscription to a yoga app I hadn't opened in months. I did the math 3 times. Over $500 wasted every month on nonsense. No wonder I couldn't save. That's when I made the decision. I would live as if I earned only $300 a month, the equivalent of minimum wage, for an entire year. Everything above that would go directly into a locked savings account. The first month was pure discipline. I cooked giant pots of rice and beans, bought generic brands, clipped coupons. I canceled streaming services, paused gym memberships, and walked to work whenever possible. I brewed coffee at home instead of buying from cafes. I patched ripped jeans, polished worn shoes, and reused everything I could. Friends thought I had lost my mind. Invitations to fancy dinners became picnic proposals in the park. Shopping trips were swapped for home organization marathons. Slowly, by the third month, $4,100 had accumulated in my savings account. By month 6, I had enough to finally fix my broken dishwasher. Month 9, I booked a trip to see my sister without borrowing money. Month 10 brought my toughest challenge. My laptop died. The old me would have immediately charged a brand new one. Instead, I calmly withdrew cash from my savings and bought a perfectly adequate replacement. 1 year later, $18,400 was sitting in my account. Actual cash I had earned and saved. I had never imagined that number could exist. It felt surreal. But the bigger revelation wasn't the money. It was what I had learned. Those impulse buys, expensive lattes, and random gadgets hadn't made me happy. They only cluttered my life. Now, at 34, I own a condo. I have an emergency fund that actually covers emergencies. I finally understand the value of every dollar and live intentionally. Friends ask how I transformed my finances. I tell them the truth. I decided to grow up, take control, and make every dollar count. The best decision I ever made.